Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway, a podcast about the DCAU and whatever the hell I want it to be about. My name's Mary,
And my name is Luke.
and today I think we're recording this on a Friday. I just had to look to see what day it was because my head is jumbled, mumbled, and grumbled. How are you today, Luke?
Generally all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any news for us today? I know there is some news. I'm just asking that to be polite. But there's some Batman Beyond news, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I mentioned in the last episode
Yeah.
that Mondo were releasing their Scarecrow figure on Halloween, and they did.
Did you order it?
Yes, I did.
Hmm.
They surprised me, though, by earlier this week announcing that they're going to be selling their Batman Beyond figure this week. In fact, today, Friday, the 8th of November, is when their pre-orders open. And it's one of their 1/6 scale figures, so it's basically a foot tall. Comes with a whole bunch of accessories, including an egg baby.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I love that.
And a Mr. Freeze gun, which makes me think they might do ink next, because that's the only time Terry used a freeze gun.
Yeah.
But that's really cool.
Oh, I love I haven't seen, to be honest with you, my mind's been preoccupied. But I haven't actually seen the promotional photos. I should go look on your social, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should.
It's McFarlane or Mondo?
No, Mondo.
Oh, Mondo. Both of those companies do action figures so well. And it's not, it's just so, it's like 90s toys, but kind of elevated.
Yes.
And I love that so much.
There's a lot of love and detail in these figures, even Toddy Mac's one.
Yeah.
The Todd Father is the other name that I sometimes call him.
Todd Father, yeah.
Yeah, even though he's just reusing the DC Direct molds in most cases.
Yeah, but somebody's gotta, since they don't really exist anymore.
No, that's true. And to be fair, those figures first came out like 10 years ago, so I don't think we can begrudge him for re-releasing stuff that's over a decade old.
No, because some people didn't get the chance to get them. And you know what? These figures bring us a lot of joy. They also are just, I think they're just really damn cool. Like, I feel like we're the cool kids. Insert Echo Smith song here. So shall we get into this today?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's bring a little fun and wholesomeness to the world today. So today we are talking about Clark Kent versus Bruce Wayne. Who is the better detective?
Okay, so you've made some notes for this, haven't you? And I've not looked at your notes, so I don't know what your talking points are.
So I'm going to just get on with my notes.
Go.
And I'm going to tell you this. So I did Batman first, Batman/Bruce Wayne first, because I like to have a little bit of order, a little bit of alphabetical order. So with Brucey Dubs, we have bravery. We have gadgets/automobiles. We have Alfred. He's a good guy. Literally a good guy. His lack of superpowers doesn't get him down. It doesn't deter him.
He does have a superpower, though.
What is that?
He's rich.
Okay, yeah. Has helpful friends. Money.
Oh, yeah,
that was one of them. Good instinct. Very good instinct. Helps police. Can probably make X-ray glasses.
Right.
And then he's an empath. There's a reason why I said the X-ray glasses thing, and that's onto my second set of notes. Superman/Clark Kent, good guy / good old boy. Uses powers wisely and respectfully. Has helpful friends. Can fly. X-ray vision. Helps police. Empath.
Heat vision.
Heat vision. Good instincts. Can you see a pattern here?
Yes, I guess the point you're trying to make is that they're very similar despite being very different.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff, like I started writing this down, the Bruce one first in my little diary, and then I rewrote them. But I started writing them down and I was like, oh, I'm going to put that on Clark as well. Oh, I'm going to put that on Clark as well. Oh, I'm going to put that on Clark as well.
Mm.
And then I did the x-ray glasses on Clark.
On
And I was
Bruce.
like, no, I put it on
Oh,
Clark
did you?
first. Or sorry, x-ray vision. And then I was like, oh, I could put that on Bruce as well because he can make x-ray glasses because of his superpower. Obviously, money, as you say, a superpower is. And I was like, oh my God, they're literally like, although one's an alien, the other one can do just as much just because of the bravery and everything. And both of them are quite brave, and both of them have helpful friends. Um, yeah, both of them are empaths, and they help the police most of the time. Can't say so much about all the destruction, but they both do just as much sometimes. So yeah, that's my point is both of them make great detectives. And as we saw in the late Mr. Kent,
Mm-hmm.
we see that Clark Kent doesn't have to be the investigator all of the time to get to the bottom of the case. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to be, like, in the eye of the public to get to the bottom of the case, is what I'm talking about. And I find it so incredibly cool that these are two very different characters, but they both have some of the same skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Superman has the added benefit that he can hear people's heartbeat and monitor their blood pressure, etc., and he can tell when they're lying just naturally. And also, he's got his X-ray vision, like
Yeah.
you said, so he could just look through. He could look through things,
Yeah.
Whereas Batman has to rely on intimidation to get the truth out of people.
He could create a body scanning thing, though.
Probably could.
Yeah.
But why bother doing that when he could just kick them in the groin
Exactly.
really hard?
Yeah, exactly why. So, in my opinion, I'm going to make this a very short podcast.
Yeah, episode over. Well done.
In my humble opinion and very thoroughly investigated opinion, I can't make an opinion.
Well, I'm going to offer a counterpoint.
I'm just kidding, Lois Lane.
Nah. Well, my counterpoint is there's a reason why they call Batman the world's greatest detective.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is the better detective.
Give me reasons.
Okay, because he is able to make not leaps of logic, I'd say deductive. I don't want to say a leap either, because then that sounds like it's stretching, it's implausible. But he is very logical, and almost to a fault, in fact. And he is able to connect things that other people may not necessarily be able to do it. I know they call it like I've forgotten the exact term for it, but there's like because I'm Batman is the reason, why Batman can do practically anything, because he's Batman.
Yeah.
But he has a photographic memory, so that's one of the things. So he can look at, say, a map of Gotham, and he'll know that there was an old factory that used to make toys that is now run down, and he knows the exact address, and he knows exactly what toys they made there. So when he sees the Betty Blooper doll in Christmas with the Joker, he's like, I know where that was made. That was made on this street.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over there and we're going to investigate.
But here's my other thing about not having an opinion.
Okay.
They have each other.
Mm.
So if there is one time where Superman's like, damn, I can't figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bats, what's up, man? Just call him on the phone. Same thing with Bruce. Bruce wouldn't, because Bruce is very stubborn. But they have those helpful friends. And when I say helpful friends, I'm also talking about Batman, Superman.
Mm.
So you could say, oh, Bruce has a photographic memory. True. But Clark could always call Bruce. Be like, hey, do you remember that doll that you were talking about like 15 seasons ago?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce like, yeah, sure. Betty.
Yeah, it was made on this street in this warehouse. It was cut down 10 years ago.
Clark is just like, thanks.
Yeah.
And then you hear Superman.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between the two, because Clark may very well call Bruce for help.
But Bruce
would not
no.
call anyone for help. He feels he doesn't need to if it takes him longer.
Alfred would call for like, hello, is this Clark?
Master Kent.
I can't do an English accent. I'm not even going to pretend. That was terrible. That was like a negative 10 out of 10.
No, I'd probably give it like a 2.
I love Natalie Portman, but
No, her English accent is terrible.
it was better than mine.
No, they were on the same scale.
Okay, that's fine. At least we're on the same. I'm on the same scale as Nat Portman.
Mm.
Damn.
But I would, to get back to the topic, I think Batman uses more traditional detective skills like chemical analysis and dusting for fingerprints and snooping through folders and files. Whereas Clark Kent just kind of looks at stuff and goes, I can tell that person's lying. I can use my telescopic vision to read the indentation on the paper that was just below the sheet of paper that was removed, so I can see what was written. Whereas Batman, it might take him a little bit longer, but he'd figure it out without necessarily having to resort to kicking people in the groin really hard.
And it would hold up in court, because I don't know if you know this, but in the American court, this is about as American court as we're going to get in this episode, lie detectors are not
admissible.
Admissible, yeah.
I am aware of that.
Yeah.
But they often take them to try and prove guilt or innocence because they may not be admissible, but...
I think actually, Superman would be better than a lie detector. I think that they would be like, Soups, you know what, I got you. Let's do this.
I think Batman would be better than a lie detector because people were afraid of being kicked in the groin really hard.
Yeah.
No, don't do it. I confess.
Yeah.
And then he does it anyway.
Yeah. He's like, I just wanted to show you that I could. Like, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who do you think? Like, let's give a name rather than
Batman.
Batman.
Easy.
I think both.
No.
And I'm allowed to say that because this is 2024 and I'm allowed to have an opinion that has no opinion. So let's talk a little bit about their helpful friends since I mentioned it in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Because their detective powers, and I'm going to say that just like that, their detective powers, because it is a great power to be able to be a good detective. So Batman, his helpful friends, definitely Alfred. That's number one. A1 steak sauce. It's Alfred. And then you have, obviously, Robin. The mini Robins. You have Barbara. And you have Gordon. I think Gordon is one of the most helpful friends because he also brings not just a little bit of it's here, it's there, it's blah. It's the moral thing as well. Like, Gordon to me is one of those, like, I want that to be my dad type of characters.
I think in Batman the Animated Series, more often than not, he acted as exposition as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like how many episodes started, or at least featured, Commissioner Gordon going, "Hey, Batman, this lightning bolt cannon's been stolen from the military. Here, let's put a video on and let's watch what it does."
Yeah.
That was a terrible Bob Hastings impression. I wasn't even trying to sound like Bob Hastings.
That's almost like my English accent.
Yeah. Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Strike it from the record, please.
And who would you say that Clark's most helpful friend? Obviously Lois.
Yeah, it's obviously Lois.
Obviously. I mean, she is Superman. Let's be honest here. Yeah. She is about 94% Superman.
Yeah, she just needs to be bulletproof, fly, cold breath, X-ray vision, heat vision.
Have you say cold breath? Have you ever scored a woman? I mean, see how cold we can be.
Fair point.
Yes, and heat. Oh, don't even get me started. It could be the dead of winter, and I'm like, put on a fan.
Well, I was going to say it's a mean look, cause you to burn with her eyes.
Yeah,
not literally, obviously.
Well, sometimes with those purple eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And who else would you say, Soups?
Well, he's got his parents as well.
Yeah,
they often offer him advice rather than this is the answer to the case.
But a lot of detective work comes from how you've come across the data. So sometimes advice will bring up something that, like, oh, thanks, Dad. You told me to recycle that tin can. oh my god, that's made me remind myself that there was a tin can next to the gun, or something like that.
Yeah.
I've watched way too many cop shows, or not enough.
Mm.
You also have like Perry and people like that. But let's
You're forgetting one James Olsen.
yes, Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen with
I was
his
waiting for
ginger
you to
mullet.
say it. Yeah.
Oh wow, I still
Oh,
really
Jimmy.
can't get over that design.
I kind of want. I mean, actually, I joke around saying I want a mullet. I don't want a mullet, but we have seen that hairstyle recently, haven't
Yes,
we?
yes.
And another DC show, uh, and that is an Miss Gigante,
Gigante.
Gigant, that one.
Is this the opportunity now to plug Totally Schway Flipside? Where we're
Yeah.
currently
So
working our way through every episode of The Penguin.
yeah, and this Sunday is the last episode
Mhm.
of the Penguin. And on Monday or Tuesday we'll have the last Totally Schway Flipside Penguin thing going on. So if you want to go head over to my channel, which is Mary Susan Mears.
They know.
Luke will have it linked down below as well. But back to our lovely duo. That's not really a duo, but we're forgetting 5 of the incredible friends. The 5 incredible maid friends that also have their own TV show, the Justice League.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they also have Hot Girl, Wonder Woman. I have to breathe there for a minute. Flash. You have Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
Well, later on, yeah, later on.
Luke was just putting up his like ring finger. I was like, I know who it is. I just can't breathe. And loads of others, but you know we have the main ones there. And Martian Manhunter.
I was going to say you nearly forgot the one that actually is a detective.
Favorites, yeah.
Martian Manhunter. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have those, but if we're just talking about Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, Luke thinks Bruce Wayne is the better detective.
Yeah.
And I think it's both. Who do you guys think is the better detective? And obviously you could say Lois Lane as well, because that's the answer.
You could even say Martian Manhunter, but you'd be wrong. But you
that would be cheating a little bit.
Well, the same thing applies to Superman, although I guess Superman's not telepathic.
Yeah.
But Superman does kind of cheat a little bit, doesn't he? Like, I remember when the Way of All Flesh, the episode with Metallo, and it's Brainiac then, where they're investigating the doctor's lab at the prison, his office, I suppose, and they're like rummaging through his papers, and then Superman spots a little vial with the virus in it, and he uses his X-ray vision to look at the residue and can see that it's a virus, and he's like, "Oh, what's this, Lois? Oh, we should look at this.
We should look." Of course, he hands it to who?
I think he kept a hold. I think he kept a hold of it.
Because who is the best detective in the world? Lois frickin' Lane. And y'all know what? Amy Adams was great as Lois Lane too. It's my second favorite Lois Lane, but I will say that because we all know who my favorite is.
Terry Hatcher. Boom.
No. Who's my favorite Lois Lane?
Margot Kidder. And it said Margot Robbie then.
No, not Margot Kidder.
All right. It's Dana Delaney.
Yes, I love. Oh my god, Dana Delaney could call me on the phone and fire me from every job I've ever had, and I would be like, "Thank you, thank you very much, Dana Delaney. You were always my favorite housewife."
Oh yeah, she was in Desperate Housewives with Terry Hatcher, wasn't she?
So good in that.
Yeah.
I do think that they let her character down a little bit in the end, but that's okay.
I've never really watched a full episode. I think I've just kind of picked up bits from it just through like osmosis because you've had it on in the background while I've been doing other things.
Yeah. So I think I can make a good decision now.
I thought you already had.
I have.
Okay, go on.
But if I have to make a choice between one or the other, I think I will choose Bruce.
Correct answer.
No, I think with Bruce, it's more about getting the correct thing. It doesn't matter how long it takes. He would like it to be faster than it usually is.
A speeding bullet.
Yeah. But in the end, he's also not ashamed. And I don't think Clark is either, but this is something I do want to say is what makes a good detective, a great detective, is the fact that shame does not get in the way or being wrong the first time.
Mm.
Because as long as you figure that out and you say, oh, hey, I was wrong about that, and fix it and get the right answer out there, that's great.
Well, I was going to say, I think the thing that makes Batman the best detective is that he assumes the worst in people. He hopes for the best, but he assumes the worst. Whereas Superman always assumes the best in people. So Superman finds it hard to believe that, someone could do something terrible. Whereas immediately Batman's like, it was that guy.
Do you think you're more of a Bruce or more of a Clark?
In that I assume the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely more
What
of a
about
Bruce.
me?
I think it depends on your mood, frankly. Often you're very optimistic, other times you're very pessimistic.
Yeah. I think I am more, well, I think I would like to be more of a Clark, but I do think I am more of a Bruce most of the time.
Mm.
Yeah. What are you guys? What do you think you are? Big Mikey P, I want to know. Are you more of a Superman or a Batman when it comes to seeing the best or the worst in people?
He's going to be option C, one of those multiversal, traversing schoolgirl army types.
And he's allowed to do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
Oh my God, are you? Mikey P, have you? How many seasons of Sailor Moon have you seen? Because I might one day watch an episode of Sailor Moon.
Just the one.
um, but if there was something if there was one season of an anime that you would want me to watch, that is like pivotal, amazing, great, tell me what it would be. And I want to know why you want me to watch that, and I might watch it. Back to Superman Batman. I've made my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've changed it.
You know what's really funny? One thing we haven't mentioned about Superman versus Batman. So in World's Finest, when they finally did the crossover, don't you think it's funny how Superman and Batman are very similar to each other in a way? And Lois Lane is drawn romantically to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But kind of is, but kind of isn't towards Clark Kent, despite their similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird, that, isn't it?
Well, I think it's because there's a working relationship there, and she kind of doesn't want to,
Muddy the waters.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'd be like, ew. What is that phrase? Don't, poop where you eat.
Yes.
Something like that.
Although it's funny when you mentioned the late Mr. Kent earlier, so when he has to pretend that he's dead and then, come back, he says, oh, I got really injured, so I called Lana and she's been looking after me. And Lois is like, of course it was bloody Lana.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's one of my favorite Lois moments.
Yeah. Why didn't he come to me? He went to her instead. And it's just like, well.
So, what is your favorite? And this might be a hard one for you. What is your favorite Detective Batman? Like the favorite case that he's done and that he's successfully got the bad guy. I'm not talking about your favorite episode.
No.
I'm talking about your favorite case that he's done.
So my favorite bit of detective work is in, I think it's in Maid of Honor Part 1 of Justice League. So the Kasnian, terrorist group are, they're doing something. They're trying to steal something from a lab or something. Batman beats them up and he's like, who do you work for? What are you doing here?
Of course, yeah.
And the guy responds in Kasnian saying, I'll never tell you anything. And you don't even speak Kasnian, so it's not like you'd understand me anyway. Batman leans in and responds in Kasnian, I can, and you will.
Yeah, I love that.
And the dude does talk.
I think, my favorite Superman one, because I've mentioned it at least twice now, is the late Mr. Kent. Because he goes out of, that Daily Planet and he does it on his own. Well, loosely, I
Mm.
say that because he does get a little bit of help, but I loved that whole storyline was just great. And I remind you guys, probably every other Totally Schway episode, this is a kid show.
Mm.
But I just felt like a lot of these like serious storylines and stuff didn't feel like a kid show when you're watching it. Even when you're watching it, like, how long is it now?
Mm.
30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 30 years since Superman, because that was 94, wasn't it?
I think it was 95. I could be
95.
mistaken.
But nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's still relevant,
Yeah.
and it still pulls at your heartstrings, and it's really nice. My favorite Batman. Oh, I didn't even ask you your favorite Superman
Why
one.
don't you do your favorite Batman one?
My favorite Batman one. Oh, obviously it's gonna be when he found out about Ivy and Alfred and stuff like that.
What are you referring to?
My one of my favorite episodes when he
You
found
talking about
out.
Eternal Youth?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Looks like, what are you talking about? I was I was trying to get the name of it in my head, but it just wasn't going there. So I was like willing him with my eyes.
Yeah.
I don't think he noticed. But yeah, I think Eternal Youth, because it shows that he was not just doing it because it was people were in trouble. It was because one of his people was in trouble.
So this might not surprise people to learn this, but my favourite bit of Superman detective work came in the episode Nighttime, where he basically pretended to be Batman.
Oh yes! Oh
And
yes!
he actually did some good detective work, sneaking into Wayne Enterprises, hacking into their computers. Well, I say hacking, Robin logged in.
Mhm.
Robin's got a login.
Yeah.
Spotting the nanomachines in the phone headpiece, which is how Bruce Wayne was taken control of. But my absolute favourite bit is when they go to interrogate the Penguin to find out where the Mad Hatter is. And he's like, oh, I'm not telling you anything. I don't know anything. Rah, 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 rah. And Robin whispers, kick the table.
Yes.
So
Oh,
Superman
yes,
kicks
yes.
the table and sends it flying across the room and smashes into the wall. The Penguin's like, all right, calm down.
Yeah. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that. Ah, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I would love it in the real world if we could solve all of life's problems by kicking tables and.
See, I'm not a violent person. I don't like violence. I'm not, I'm one of those people that I hate violence.
I wish it worked. I really wish it worked. I wish you could take these awful people and just slap them about the face and put them straight, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I think one of the reasons I don't like violence in my adult life is because of obviously how I grew up. But I just don't feel that solving the world's problems with violence is the answer. And when I say the world's problems, I'm talking about like any problem. I just don't feel like that's the answer, like punching somebody in the face. I don't I can't think of a time where in my life doing that to somebody would have solved a problem. It would have made somebody feel really good for a few minutes, and it would have made a great story, but it wouldn't have actually done anything other than probably cause more problems. But if you're wearing a suit with tights, underwear over the tights, and a cape, might be a little bit different, but
Yeah, maybe.
I'll never know. Or will I?
Yeah.
Because I do have a Superman and a Batman costume
Swimsuit.
with capes. I just coughed in their face. Wonderful. Sorry about that, guys. 2 weeks after COVID, and COVID still seems to have wrecked my lungs, but that's okay. It's getting better every day. It could have been a lot worse.
Yep.
Yeah. We're not Superman with his icy breath.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. So I think that is that. Okay, now that I have my coffee, because we took a little tiny break, let's get to the comments. Who's first?
Who's first? Well, it's Ender Goku, who I believe you've commented before, but it's been a while since you've been back.
Does that have anything to do with DBZ?
I'm certain it does.
I'm sure it does.
And they say, hello, Schway.
Hey,
Uh,
much happier with my coffee.
yeah. Next, we have the Phantasm, who says, hey guys, loved hearing your thoughts on Earthmover, a truly delightful, pleasant episode with such heartwarming and not at all disturbing imagery, or did I get it backwards?
Never will we talk about disturbing episodes. Never. Not on this show, not on this household.
I was a tad perplexed when you brought up the voice actor, which led me to look it up, and yikes, that's a whole can of worms I don't plan on touching.
No.
And yet you did. So, as for the current topic, I wasn't quite sure if you were specifically referring to DCAU iterations of Superman and Batman and all the characters in the comics and everything overall. Well, given that this is a DCAU podcast, it is going to be DCAU centric, but don't worry about that.
Which they're all kind of the same in terms of like that sort of stuff. So
generally, in the comics, I connect with Superman as a character a lot more than Batman. While not the only reason, big part of that is because during some of the hardest times in my life, it was reading Superman stories that helped me get through it. In the context of the DCAU, Batman had a significantly larger screen time, so there was more time for development. And while both DCA Superman and Batman are incredible, its Batman had a bit of a bigger impact. One of the many reasons Superman is so essential to the world of comics and pop culture is because he represents the goodness and hope within us all. Superman is kind, compassionate, understanding, he is gentle, he is teachable, and is not afraid to show emotion and affection. In a universe filled with heroes with heavy emotional baggage, Superman is an emotionally healthy hero who, while still wrestles with his own demons, he still doesn't let those demons define him, and he represents the goodness within all of us. Superman is kind. He carries arguably the heaviest heart. Superman is the kind of person who, while flying, might see you having a bad day and would generally take an interest to chat with you to try and cheer you up. The most important trait he embodies is selflessness. Regardless of how he's viewed, he will always put others before himself. The whole world could hate him, but he will never turn his back on them. Humanity is his first priority. Superman is the prime example of what a true superhero is and what all other heroes aspire to be. Another one of my favourite aspects about the character is the delightful camaraderie he shares with the supporting cast in the comics, which I never really felt to the same extent with Batman. Sure, it's fun to see him talk about crime scenes with Gordon back when he was commissioner, and how Alfred helps him in his life back when he was alive, but other than that, I don't feel he shares any particularly special repertoire with anyone. I didn't mention Lucius because he isn't used frequently enough, and before you say it, I don't consider the Bat family to be supporting characters anymore, and instead of more view them as leading characters who operate alongside Batman, except for Damian, I guess. With Superman, however, I'll never be tired of seeing the husband and wife dynamic of Clark and Lois, the Daily Planet staff, him being a father, although I fall in the camp of preferring John as a kid, and most of all his eternal rivalry with Lex Luthor. And speaking of Lois, I'm so excited to see her as Superwoman again. Dan Mora's art just fills me with joy. And lastly, what I love about Superman is that despite everything, he's still the little kid raised in Kansas who just sees the best in people. Despite what Bill from Kill Bill might say, Clark Kent is not the disguise. I mean, people need to remember he's the villain of the movie. Although, similarly, I actually hate it when people keep saying, oh, Bruce Wayne is the disguise and Batman is who he truly is. For me, it's stories like Darwin Cook's Batman ego that solidify that he is ultimately Bruce Wayne to his core.
Well said. I think you should have just done this episode.
Well,
it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But no, like I was sitting there listening, and I'm like, I had the feels. Like that was beautiful. Thank you.
Next, we have Lowell Lucas Jr., who says, greeting boys and ghouls, it's time for a spooktacular totally Schway. Spirit away on a spooky sunny day, let's play. Beware, I pulled a mini Big Mikey P below. It's out of respect, bro. I mean, lots of people do Mikey P level comments now on my poor aching throat.
No, I love it.
I definitely want to get that colouring book you both keep teasing my eye with. Ah, you've noticed that. Those beautiful illustrations are making me drool, which I want to add to my ever-growing art book collection, so I look forward to it and your review, Luke. Oh, damn, I did say I was going to do one, didn't I? Maybe I'll do that today. So I look forward to it and your review, Luke. Oh, yeah, I already said that. If it's anything like your Batman bootleg review, which I bought immediately after finishing that video, it'll be awesome. And what a shame I don't get commissions on these things. What a shame. But oh well, I'm glad you got them, glad you enjoyed them. We like sharing the enjoyment of these things.
I just really love the fact that they're doing things like this, and I just it's awesome to see even after 30 years that they're coming out with BTAS stuff, and it's awesome. Have my adult money if you want.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that book, anytime a comic, art book, or any kind of material made by an illustrator is collected in an edition like that, they're usually called a fan book. In Japan, they are called a doujinshi, pronounced doujinshi. Okay, good, I got that right.
That is, yeah.
And can range from a gag book to even adult material, but made in good fun. Yes, I own several of these. I might make a video on it.
You should.
Many creators and industry greats have made them, from Excel Saga to even the creator of Love Hina. So it's always a joy to have one. By the way, have you heard of a YouTube channel called It's the Goose, It's the Goose? He's a cool guy that talks about great cartoon shows that are either no longer on the air or he has fond memories of. I've been on his channel podcast a few times, and he asked if there are other channels he could interview or talk to some tunes with. So I recommended Serum Lake with Luke and Mary. He sounded excited when I brought up your thorough knowledge on beta, so give him a chat, and who knows, maybe even discuss a future video collab. Tell him Lowell sent you. It should be quite the treat.
Nice.
If we're going to talk about great Halloween episodes in BTS, I want to shout out my favourites On Leather Wings and The Demon Within, featuring Etrigan's first appearance with the Witch Boy. Not only are they both enjoyable with fantastic animation, it evokes killer transformers, and monster movie quality action I might just go crazy over. To this day, I still rhyme like Etrigan when I can. Yeah, I've noticed. And have shared many with friends, even mother's grief, father's shame. I shall send him from whence he came. Where you ask, I'm sending him to his room. Yes. Yeah, that was a good one. Also, boys and ghouls, I just wanted to give you all a wonderful thank you for the awesome comments, thoughts, and other creative messages that you've been sharing on this wonderful channel. It's always been a highlight each week and every couple of days to hear what others have to share and say, and I want to say thank you all as I recover. It's always been a wonderful part of my day to see what Totally Schway has posted or read. Thank you for such a wonderful part of being a BTS Tim Deeney fan. And may you all have a happy and spooky Halloween.
And thank you for actually being our friend. It's one of those things that I've said it at a lot of the end of episodes, is that you guys really do help me wake up in the morning, and I'm not saying that lightly. And I truly believe, as someone who grew up with Batman and Superman and stuff like that, I truly believe that talking about it has put a little bit more joy in my life. And actually talking to you guys in these comments and sometimes personally through emails, although I'm not the best at getting back at emails, but I'll get better. It has brought a joy in my life that I was severely lacking. And I thank you guys every chance I get. So thank you.
Next, we have Easy Snake Oven. Thanks for coming back, Easy Snake Oven.
I love that name.
Yeah, he says, thank you, guys. I know I'm a little on the young side here, but I just turned 21 at the beginning of October.
Oh, to be 21 again.
And now that I'm an adult, I've gotten into the most debilitating hobbies, action figures and comic collecting and minifigure painting.
Welcome.
All because of this one darn show. It snowballed so hard, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been that way since before I was an adult. I was always spending my money on comics and action figures and stuff. I guess I'll always be a child anyway.
I love that though, because I obviously I grew up in nowhere, Oklahoma, and obviously I didn't have a lot of disposable income, nor did my family when I was younger. So now if I see something, I'm like, oh, I could get that. And to be honest with you, I usually do if I want it bad enough. But being an adult, especially an adult with no kids, is fun because I can be my own kid if I want. And also, do you have any pets? Because I would like to know if you have pets, how many, and how do you treat them? Do you treat them like kids, like we do? Or do you treat them just like, like cats or dogs? Is that a weird question? Maybe. I don't know. I just like to know how people treat their animals.
Answers on a postcard. Next, we have Scream Wiper, who says to make the earth move is a euphemistic idiom for being a good sexual partner. I think about that every time someone mentions this character, and he's getting mentioned a lot here. If 4205 is about me, I was a theatre kid. I don't think it was. I don't think.
Oh.
But anyway, I was a theatre kid. I saw performed in and worked behind the scenes of plenty of them. How annoying I came to find the non-comedy ones comes from a place of experience, not ignorance, overexposure, if anything, rather than underexposure. And it certainly isn't all about not being raised well. The Sound of Music would work better as a straightforward drama, with the songs limited to dialectic naturalism. Did I say that right? Dielectric naturalism? I think so, yes. And Little Shops of Horror is an absurd comedy, so that one works. Blues Brothers is also a comedy. And if it's not about me, then I guess what I just said doesn't apply. Yeah, I wish I knew what you were talking about. But I'm certain it wasn't like a sideways swipe remark.
Oh
I'm
God,
certain.
no. Oh, were we talking about how Wicked's out and everything is uh like, oh my God, I went to the grocery store yesterday and I saw on a box of sweets, it was just Wicked.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what else? just what else? They didn't have any of the green or pink or anything. I'm just like, well, if you're gonna have something wicked, just have it green and pink, you know? Um, it's just it's a bit much at the minute.
Hmm.
Although I did see a trailer for it when I went to see Venom yesterday, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch this.
Hmm. So just to continue Screen Wiper's comment then, if it isn't too much like his Silicon Soul, maybe Luke could have an AI do some of his voice work then. When he has a sore throat. Get well soon, big guy. Yes, I'm mostly better, although reading out all these comments is straining my voice.
Get up.
Did you hear it? Nearly broke just then when I tried to say comments. It just went.
You're putting it on now. What if I do all of your videos with my voice? I know in my Luther video, here's a little bit of lore for you guys.
Yeah.
How many times did I say complain? How do you say the word?
Was it complacency?
Complacency.
Yeah, I sat here and said complacency. Say it that way. Complacency.
It's because I will write down the word and I will say it perfectly in my head and it'll be perfect and everything like that. As soon as I start to say it, it's like I'll say the color purple. Nope, that's not what's gonna come out. It's gonna be like a purple, hey, Philippadabado, germs, something really stupid like that. So I will never ever release that 2 minutes of me trying to say that word.
I think I deleted it, but anyway. So, right, to finish off Screen Wiper's comment, it's time for his chicken news. So, at the time of writing, not much chicken news because I'm commenting this while the video is new instead of 10 days old. Not much time has passed to allow things to happen. This is a good thing. Good to have a break from problems and drama. I thought Mabel had gone a couple of days without laying eggs, but turns out she'd been laying secret eggs on a garden wall under the ivy. Same place from which she knocked off that plant pot. Trying once again to impress Wilma and Betty. Doris has been a treacherous scab and acted like a total dick to Mabel lately. Even got brigged today, twice. And maybe Mabel has been laying on the wall to get away from her. Maybe it's just to catch the sun, as we've had lovely weather last couple of days or so, and it's a great sunny spot. Taken Betty off the meds I put her on to see if she'd worsen, and she hasn't, so I'll leave her off them. She had a bit of a grumpy aggression today, but I think that's from seeing Doris being aggressive. I have managed to stop Betty pecking Mabel at bedtime. Instead of poking Betty and telling her off, I started resting my finger on her beak and telling her to stay calm and not peck her. 3 nights later, didn't even need to do that. She just knows not to now. Wilma has been cheeky as usual, plucking feathers and after getting bollocked telling me she didn't do it when I just saw her do it. Also, she ran into the house and tried to eat an elastic band again, but got nowhere near it because I saw and stopped her. I think she thinks they're worms.
Oh, I can see that.
We'll edit this if anything noteworthy happens before the next episode. Well, no edit, so nothing's
That's
happened.
my favorite.
Really?
Yeah. I think they're my favorite.
So next we have David Carney. Hello, David. There are certain episodes of shows that have stuck with me over the years. Batman Beyond, Earthmover, and the Peacock Family from the X-Files. Earthmover is one of my favourite episodes. Keep up the good work. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
I'm just scrolling now. So next we have a comment from A1ML33Y, which is Julia Raoul, who says, okay, this episode of Batman Beyond, I also remember watching it as a kid in 1999 and getting pretty spooked out by it. Hard visuals of this guy who's trapped in the ground and how his daughter became an orphan but was adopted by his business partner, who he fought with, trying to kill him, but it was all a big misunderstanding. And it's something that to this day, if I go to watch this episode, I can see there's a lot of soap opera drama I can get into. Forgive me, as a kid I was watching oldies cartoons, and they always make surprises. They always surprise you, if like a body horror episode. reliable. Whoa, I didn't expect that in a Sunday morning cartoon. It's like Spider-Man 94, where season 2 ended with getting 6 arms. Like, that was freaky before he became the spider monster. That one always sticks out to me. It's like I wish they did that in the movies. But they never did. Even the Venom episode in Spider-Man 94 freaked me out. Especially the first part where he gets to the suit and he's having a weird dream of his OG costume fighting the symbiote. And he wakes up at that building looking at his reflection. Halloween to me as a kid, and even more so now when I get to rewatch it. Play with Spider-Man. I was mostly into drama, and Batman Beyond gave me Spider-Man vibes, so that's why I stuck with that show for as long as I could. And I will be watching it today, and I can appreciate it more. But I kind of wish that Bruce 10 and then, 10 as in Ace, got it, would have done like the Spider-Man show, where we did get them from the Marvel side with Spider-Man Unlimited, and it was interesting, but it was always short-lived for 13 minutes, and that was always been like a curio in my Spider-Man viewing history. As a fan of the character, because I really like the 94 version a lot, more than I do the Unlimited version, but I made a cool costume in the PlayStation 1 Spider-Man game in 2000. Big Mikey P can hate me because I like the Marvel cartoons by X-Men and Spider-Man from the 90s, but hey, you know what? I don't care what he thinks. That stuff, Friday's near and dear to me. I love that show. It's what got me into reading comics in the first place. How long stuff like The Max does on MTV, and Savage Dragon, which was on US Cartoon Express, and Wildcats. There was also the USA Cartoon Express in the 90s. Go ahead with nostalgia from 90s cartoons.
Oh my God, you watched the Max? I was talking to Luke about the Max a couple months back,
Mm-hmm.
and how I actually really enjoyed that show.
Julia continues by saying, I enjoyed Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond, but the Marvel stuff always kept my attention the most. Stuff like Silver Surfer and Hardy Mitch in Spider-Man 94. I wonder what that is. Even the show, like my favourite to watch today, despite all of the American animation, and sometimes I'll do later seasons, reuse a lot of the action shots and whatnot, and X-Men. I like it because I was into the soap opera, so that's what kept me watching those cartoons continuously, and I enjoyed it and continued to another. Blood into another. I assume that's an autocorrect mistake.
Autocorrect is the enemy.
It can be, yes. Whereas Batman, it didn't look like it had much continuity, so that's why I watched it. But it almost seems like every episode was a standalone and didn't really build up to anything big in the first season arc or anything. And stuff like Justice League came around, and then I got more interested in the DCAU world. Episodes would lead to like a big finale and stuff like Teen Titans 2003, but also had big bits of continuity in it. Sorry about the typos, by the way. I'm going through eye surgery right now, and I'm on a lot of meds, so forgive my last post that I did where I rambled a bit. But I was just on a lot of meds to get through the pain I'm going through to get my eyes worked on. And yeah, I imagine it's very difficult to type stuff out when you can't see properly.
Don't you worry about typos. If you guys saw the messages I sent to Luke, because I used my my watch, don't you ever apologize, because sometimes it is like, oh, Luke, can you pick up apples from the shop? And it's like, dearest Luke, can you go Atom shopping? Like ATOM. It's like, okay.
Luke, I will check out World's Finest. A lot of my friends are telling me to check out that book because I've been staying away from reading DC because of the New 52. It just turned me off, and I want to read those because I'm just tone and now and how dark they were, and all this stuff like Joker ripping his face off and stuff. It's just something that made me go, I'm not interested in DC. And I was mostly on the MCU reading kick, by the way. I miss reading stuff like Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange were all making me really excited and wanting to read Marvel again. Whereas DC was always hard for me to find something good beside the ongoing Harley Quinn comic, and maybe Doom Patrol that was good when Gerard Way wrote it. But other than that, I don't venture or want to read Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman because I don't like how they were done in the movies at the time of the DCEU.
Gerard Way, is that
My Chemical Romance guy?
Okay.
Yeah, he did a Doom Patrol comic.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a kid in the 90s, I read more than I read more Marvel than I did DC, and the only DC book I was able to get into or get my hands on, was Static Shock when it was done by Milestone. I don't really like a few issues of that, and then they are still by Louis Tomlinson and John Bogdanoff. The Superman titles after he had died and came back, but I didn't really read any 90s Batman much. Maybe some random here and there, and also the Batman Adventures comics, but that's about it as far as I went. I didn't read Batman heavily until 2003, when Hush was a thing with Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on the title. I was reading it and I dropped off and got under title, and it was really support, and wanted to read Batman again, something that looked like Batman animated series, but in the main continuity. Thank you for being patient and reading my letter, and I hope you all get over COVID really soon, and I hope you all start to feel better. Me, I'm on the road to recovery with this eye surgery. Hopefully after this I'll be back to my old self and a bit happier, because there's a lot of new comics I want to read, but I want to make sure I get my eyes to be able to see them. Forgive me for being critical of the DC stuff outside of the comics and even the comics, because I feel like I like more things that I can watch and read their stuff and feel like, well, hey, this stuff is making me excited. I want to go and read the next thing and the next thing, just based off of tone and how it does. It takes a socially serious, or DC, it feels like a mixed bag every time I try to read the comics. Anyway, Luke and Mary, take care of yourselves, and maybe I'm going to get better. I'll try to be less negative. You be as negative.
Yeah, that's the thing about this safe space here, is if you don't like something, you guys are always respectful in saying that, but also I'd like to know why. And whenever you talk about something, you explain it. And it's awesome to hear, because I agree with you sometimes it's a bit more dark than Marvel, but I do like dark most of the time. But I love y'all's opinions, and if you ever want to be negative, y'all's negative is nothing like the other negative I've seen on the internet. So thank you, and I really, really hope that your eyes get better and everything. And I know it's such a hard thing, like when it comes to your eyes, because those are like your
That's how you interact with the
view
world.
into the world,
Yeah.
and it sucks. And I'll be thinking about you.
All right, next we have the latest tome from Big Michael Andre Parlon.
Oh, one of my favorite parts of every video, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. I actually look forward to it, to the point that I'm going to talk about my therapist just for a moment. I was talking to my therapist the other day, and I was like, "There's this guy named Mike," and I just really love him. And she was like, "Oh, how long have you known him?" I was like, "A while."
Feels like my entire life. Anyway, says, I see you guys have reached a sort of daylight savings rescheduling on Totally Schway as of late. No, it's still going out at the same time for us. It's just, I don't control the clocks and decide when the clock goes back. I know, I am great and powerful, but I don't have that level of power. No.
No,
Anyway.
I noticed that too. It feels a little bit different, the timing, but
it's the same.
Yeah.
Putting it out at 1 o'clock on a Sunday.
No, I think it's because in the States and over here, when people put out YouTube videos now, it just feels different. And I don't know, maybe I thought that's because I was crazy, but that's fine.
Maybe you both are. It's a folie à deux.
That's okay.
Anyway.
It's like a movie.
No. Sorry for being a bit late. My battery was suddenly low, so finishing this wasn't done live. Unbelievable. I can't believe it.
I hope you're right.
Luke's voice still sounds okay, though. Oh, it felt terrible. It was.
I told him it was okay. He was just putting it on.
No, I wasn't. I was not.
I was like, ugh.
Will there be also an Ace of the Royal Flush Gang, the one voiced by Hayden? Is that Hayden Walsh, not the robot Mondo figure? Do you know what? They may very well do. Now they're doing Batman Beyond. I think they'll do Ink next, because they did Terry with the freeze gun. Did I mention this earlier? I think I did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I hope they do Ink. Although Ink's not one of my favorite characters, I would love to see that figure.
Blight, Ink, Spellbinder, Mr. Freeze, Shriek, the Royal Flush Gang.
Yeah, could you imagine if they did an Earth Mover one?
Oh my god. Oh yes.
I would have to buy 2 of those, because I would have to have that on display.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't really have very many accessories. I suppose you could have like a mud golem thing.
You could have a sub.
I don't know. You'd need to have the Earth Mover built into a wall,
Yeah,
and
obviously.
mud golems, and some vats of chemicals, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway. Nowadays, the titular character will be deemed more the villain simply because of his voice actor. Shame, really, but you know how audiences and relatability are. Can recommend The Abominable Dr. Five's 1971, but I don't think it's a Hammer movie. I wasn't certain, actually. I wasn't sure. I was going to look it up, and then I forgot. Why don't you look that up, Mary? See who produced The Abominable Dr. Fives. Phibes. I'll continue with the comment. Anyways, I'm more familiar with 70s onward horror, like the first Jaws and Duel. The Alien duology, Alien 3 Assembly Cut may also be included. The first Predator, though Predator 2 isn't that bad. The Fly and Thing remakes. The first Tremors and The Mummy 1999. Surprise hits, really, considering similar films like Anaconda and Piranha didn't pique me. Dog Soldiers and The Descent and Cloverfield. Dana Tan needs more love, both from Terry McGinnis and the show's creators. The Justice League Unlimited could have checked up on what had happened to Earthmover. Yeah, I suppose they could have, but maybe they didn't want to. Did you find the answer, Mary? Dr. Fibes, which company produced it? I mean, just click on the
Anglo and
America International. No, that's the distributors, isn't it? I don't know.
Let's have a look-see doodle.
I'm going to continue with the comment.
By Lewis M. Hayward.
Production company, American International Pictures, England. So I knew it was an English company that made it. Although it says it's an American film production company owned by Amazon MGM Studios. But back in the 70s. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's not a Hammer movie.
This is going to be my thing today, isn't it?
Yeah. No mention of the Batboat Bat-Sub Beyond. No mention of the shadowy silhouetted moment that surprisingly was Batman all along. No, and it wasn't that surprising because he was kind of... Earthmover doesn't stand and his eyes weren't glowing green. But anyway.
It was surprising to me.
Wow. Lack of ears made the Earthmover appropriately inhuman, of course. Bruce Timm did right on that in the same way Valve did right by not giving Gordon Freeman a strange ponytail, if not a Hev helmet, no matter the unrealism. As an aside, if anyone likes this episode, I may recommend the likes of Mushi, Shi, and Kino's journey for similar anomalous conundrums, and even the more cynical yet intriguing Mononoke. Would like to see Beware the Grey Ghost get the same treatment as this, one of my peak favourite episodes in any piece of television animation. That, and one that fully embraces the value and joy of passionate fandoms and being amazing actors in amazing works. More power to Harry's comments. 3752. The also finished Odd Taxi and Review Starlight, though you mispronounced Shujo Kagaki in Review, alongside their accompanying movies. Now continuing on to Vivi Fluorite's Eye Song. Dang, that's not even how Choo Choo is pronounced, Luke. Anyone remember Choo Choo the monkey from Revolutionary Girl Utena? Look, I think we've established by now the way I pronounce things is the way I pronounce things.
He's English.
Yeah.
How do you say data?
Data.
How do I say it? Data?
You say data.
Well, I used to say data, or however.
What's the character's name in Star Trek? Mr.
We don't.
Mr. Data.
You know what?
Data.
I was at the dinner table, and I nearly had an argument with your brother about this. I call him the robot guy.
Mm-hmm. As an aside, the aforementioned Review Starlight is quite something of an musical anime series, Jesus. So to not be confused with its preceding live stage plays performed by the characters' voice actors even, from a different continuity. They did something similar with Super Ted. They actually had a Super Ted musical, and John Pertwee played the Spotty Man.
Ooh, John Pertwee's
Now,
great.
apparently, I think my parents said they took me to that when I was a very small child, but I've got no memory of it. They might have just taken my brother. Probably. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Mixing up memories there.
Well, I'm just going by what people said to me when I was a child. I have no memory of it.
Parents always mix up memories when they have more than one kid.
Yes. Anyway, highly recommend checking out the English sub reviews sometimes in YouTube, especially Mary. Although some context may be lost in confusion by not watching the actual series and movies, but the songs, feels, and Sakuga action should still satisfy. With that, it's somehow not proper Yuri girls' love, and yet oozes like one such work. Now that's a very
Me get
no.
lost and confused? Me? Have you met me? I am always I spend 95% of my life confused about something, and that's not an exaggeration either. Either, whatever.
Curiously, it does have a queer character in the form of Hokkaido girl Mahuri Tsuyuzaki. Though in the end of it all, she stays single, albeit not unsatisfied for her talented future to return. Ugh. Not unsatisfied for her talented future to the stage. Jeez, what is wrong with me? Such are the Takarazuka review inspirations when directed by a guy whose mentor was a primary creator for again revolutionary girl Utena. And I'll argue that review Starlight is a better spiritual successor to the to it compared to Penguin Drum. Yurikuma Arashi. Oh my god.
People
And
come
Sarah Zanmai struggling now. Yes, I am. How did you know?
you keep it coming.
Wakarimasu. Oh. All in all, I may recommend that anime continuity lots. Oh, and it's no Puella Magi Madoka Magica ripoff despite first glance.
No, it's
Believe me. 49.15. Yay, Beast Wars and Dinobots get shoutouts. 53.37. Ka! I see. Wonder if Joker 2 dislikers may prefer the King of Comedy more. That's some haunted farm tale. Thanks for showcasing that. Yeah, that was directed at Doc Widener, I'm sure. I will never forget. Stay away or stay back. I know karate and have diarrhea. I will never forget that. Oh, speaking of Doc Widener, here's the next comment.
I swear it to you, in these past couple of days, since the 5th of November, I have thought about that occasionally, and it has got me out of some very dark thinking. So if I ever get a chance, this is the chance now. Thank you to Doc's son for giving me a little bit of fun and joy in this past few days.
So on to Doc Wyden's comments says, thank goodness you're here trying to get through this before the Penguin. We'll see. 1820. I know what you mean, and I know you mean it with no ill intent, but as an adoptive parent, the phrase real dad always bothers me. Yeah, apologies for that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, because I think I've explained this before. I wasn't raised by my biological mother and father. I didn't know who my biological father was, but when I say like my real dad or something, I'm talking about my grandfather because he's the guy that raised me, and I totally get that, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you weren't referring to your
Yeah.
biological father as the real dad.
No, God, no. And I'm so sorry about that. But what I just wanted to put a little bit of an explanation out there because my real dad was my papa, my grandpa, because he was the one who saw me without my makeup most days.
Again, I know that is not how you intended it, and I know you'll think about it when it comes up in the future. I have two sons, Sergey and Daniel. 8 years apart, Sergey, the older one, was adopted at 10 months old from Russia. Daniel was a late biological kid. I was 41 and the missus was 40. The most irritating thing he does is when he gets in a serious argument with Sergey, he will go to he is the better favourite or realer son because he is not adopted. Well, I don't know if that's true.
Well, that's not. No.
I have tried to let them sort their arguments out, which are rare on their own, but that guarantees I will step in and shut the argument down. 24:30. Close, Mr. Sardonicus, thank you. Was a William Castle of House on Haunted Hill and 13 Ghost fame. Title character found out his father had won the lottery but had been buried with the ticket. The image of his grinning father's corpse scared him so badly his face froze in a grin like his father. London after midnight. There is no name for Lon's vampire character in the credits. He is called the Man in the Beaver Hat. Hey, the younger son I mentioned earlier wouldn't eat as a baby and was in the hospital from birth through his 3rd month and had a G-tube. Once he was old enough to actually eat, the G-tube was removed. It too was supposed to heal and did not, so we had to go back and have them stitch it closed. There you go, Harry, you're not alone. Hearing your Kutzbar pronunciation makes me think of a video Daniel was watching today. As much as I mentioned him in the comment, he may think he is the favourite. Anyhow, I guess from you saying that implies that he is not. Sorry, Daniel. Anyhow, it was some lore video about some video 6. The person was talking about the Greek witch from the mythology Circe, but he pronounced it Cirque. Your Kutzbar pronunciation is not quite as jarring, but it is close. Love Ron Perlman. Does the open narration on most of the Fallout games? Yes, he does. War never changes. He has not been taking recent events particularly well. He uploads videos of himself singing songs like When You're Smiling as he's driving along.
Yeah.
And he's not saying anything else. Anyway.
Can I quickly just say this, Doc? Yeah. I want to say thank you to you because it's such a brave thing and a wonderful thing to do to adopt kiddos. And it's something I think more people should do. And they don't get enough credit for that because it is such an incredibly vulnerable and hard thing to do, but it's such a beautiful thing. So I just want to thank you for being one of those really lovely people. And also, thank you for not having a favorite kid because I grew up and my brother was the favorite kid. I do know why, because he was the cooler one, but I don't know. I think you're a beautiful person, Doc.
I think it sounds like Doc does have a favorite.
Shut.
Anyway, so replying to a comment I just saw, and I imagine you have recently read, talking about how memorable the Peacock family in the X-Files was, that episode Home has stuck with me and ruined Wonderful, Wonderful by Johnny Mathis. I can't hear that song and not immediately think of the episode. I feel awful. I wrote such a long comment when you had COVID, but I'm so glad you enjoyed the haunt tale. So this story is an old one, way before I had kids. This is from when I was in college, and I think it was the first fall I was dating my future wife. The story doesn't involve her. So this would have been around the time BTAS came out. We'll tell Valentine's Day story about the wife and BTAS next Valentine's Day. Good. Anyhow, it was an old big farmhouse and was what haunted attractions used to be. An old building, little to no lights, no exit signs, likely a death trap if a fire broke out. Usually run by a community service group like Kiwanis or the Lions. The house was about half a kilometre off the road. You parked in the field across the road from the house and then walked up the drive. Near the house was the ticket trailer, a trailer with coffee and hot chocolate and some porta potties. I'm not sure if they're called portaloos or something else across the pond. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we are in line. Suddenly, one of the actors comes out with a non-running chainsaw. He menaces the line for a moment, then walks over to the porta potty. He deftly starts the chainsaw with one pull and starts striking the porta potty with it. Shari says she heard a scream. I don't recall that. Just the saw and the banging. Maybe 2 seconds passed, and the woman that was in there slams open the door, tugging up her pants, and takes off down the driveway. To the best of my knowledge, the lady has probably lapped the planet several times, but she ran out of sight, and we never saw her again.
I love dogs so much.
Yes, thank you for your comment, Doc. A very amusing story. Not quite as amusing and impactful as I know karate and have diarrhea. Perfect. Which son was that, by the way? Was that Daniel or was it Sergey? Let us know next time.
Should we learn karate?
No, we could just say we know karate. Same way we can just say that we have diarrhea and no one will question it. There's not like anyone going, let me inspect your underwear.
Karate takes a lot of patience
bet it does.
Ability, whereas I have 0 patience, little to no ability, but I am stubborn, so I might be able to get away with it.
Right, next we have Defuxa, who leaves a comment saying, holiday season, Christmas with the Joker coming up soon. You know, we actually watch Christmas with the Joker most Christmas mornings.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're going to do a podcast episode about it, but I might do a video about it. We've got a couple of Christmassy type specials coming up.
Yeah, we're going to do a month of, on the podcast anyway, on Flipside and Totally Schway, we're going to do a month of, holiday / Christmas. Take the word Christmas lightly because it's more just about holiday and season's greetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, sorry, that in England we just call it Christmas. We don't say the holiday. It's just like, yeah, it's Christmas, you know. Even though most people aren't religious. But anyway.
Yeah.
Next we have Harry Flew TV, who says, Mary, thank you. I'm glad my surgery went well too. I dealt with sore skin around the hole and constantly having my clothes have to go in the wash and always being paranoid about when it would next leak. Even now I have PTSD and sometimes whenever my stomach gets wet around the hole, whether it's because of sweat or I've spilled a drink, I always get horrible sense of dread and paranoia. But enough about my tragic personal supervillain backstory, lol. Have a great week, you guys, and happy Halloween. Sometimes I think about what happened to characters like Veronica Vreeland and other characters like the Penguin post-Batman Beyond. My headcanon is that Veronica changes the error of her ways and settled down with a family, made amends with Oswald after Birds of a Feather, and had a great friendship with Bruce before he became the most seclusive and closed off. Penguin probably retired from crime and attempted to reform a second time. As for Pierce Chapman, Veronica dumped him and he died alone. I also like to think that Stella from Mudslide episode had a wonderful career as a doctor and again retired with a family. Teddy got married to a wonderful husband, and Clayface probably resolved and eventually died. He went back to his home planet.
I don't know. I don't know what I would give the future for Clayface.
Well, he got turned into a statue.
Yeah. I'd be like, maybe it rained hard one day, and then the statue became like moist. And he just decided, hey, I'm going to be a good guy now.
I like to think that characters like Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and the villains who legitimately tried to reform eventually did reform and start new lives. Maybe Two-Face eventually got his surgery and therapy for his big bad half persona. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have Reaper Productions. Hello, Reaper Productions. I'm not sure if you've commented before. It's got a nice profile picture of a hedgehog, though.
We love hedgehogs.
Yeah.
Oh, can we say I know it's a bit of a longer episode, but can we say what happened to me when I saw a hedgehog for the first time?
You screamed and shouted and were like, what the bleep was that?
Yeah, and it was like, this is when I first moved over here, so I was still a smoker, even though smoking is very bad, and I stopped shortly after that. I was outside smoking, and it was like 11 p.m. And I literally looked behind me because I heard something, like, it was like crispy. And I was like, oh,
Something
is that
rattling.
because I thought it was Squee, the cat. And then I was like, what the F? My father-in-law. He's he's in the kitchen, doesn't do anything. Because and when I walked in, he was like, was it the hedgehog? Because I guess he'd seen it or something. But because I was like, what is that spiky thing? And you said something similar, like, was it a hedgehog? I was like, how did these people even live with this? How did they do that? I love hedgehogs now.
Yeah. So anyway, Reaper Productions' comment is, hey Serum, if you were to do an absolute Aquaman, what would you want it to be like? I'd like him to be a merman, like a scaly fish man. And like a pirate. I think that would be cool.
Ahoy, matey.
Mm-hmm. Not like a Somali pirate, like stealing from...
That's why I said ahoy, matey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like the fun Pirates of the Caribbean one.
Yeah, yo-ho-ho and all that.
I don't know what that means.
It's just a thing that pirates apparently say, yo-ho-ho. I got that from the 60s Batman movie with the Penguin. They go, yo-ho-ho, sir.
Hey.
And then there's a famous, well, I don't know if it's famous, but there's apparently a pirate saying like yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. I don't know if that's
Oh, I know that.
Anyway.
I know that.
I actually came up with my own idea of creating a version of the character who maintains the core of the character while also taking away the royal aspect of his character, instead having him act as a rebel. You don't mind. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. I don't mind. Okay, next comment. Nah, I'm kidding. All right. In the idea I came up with, the Trench ended up evolving differently than their main continuity counterparts, doing so in a way similarly to the Atlanteans and the Zebellians. I probably mispronounced that. Equipped with their own society and technology, with this version of the Trench overthrowing and decimating Atlantis. Its king, Charybdis, claiming the Trident of Neptune in the process, with an Atlantean woman escaping to the surface realm before being found during a storm by pirates and imprisoned, proceeding to give birth to Arthur on the ship and passing, with Arthur growing up on the ship, unaware of his Atlantean origins and abilities, and eventually becoming his crew's captain, with the universe's David Hyde, Black Manta, acting as his second in command. As a result of his upbringing, Arthur is much more impulsive and violent, being the type to go first into battle without a plan, with that being more David's strong suit. However, despite this, Arthur is still a charismatic, natural-born leader and still has a clear moral code and sense of justice, ordering the crew not to harm any attendants of ships they raid, unless completely necessary, especially in regards to both women and children. This all changes when Arthur and his crew raid and explore a ship and find valuable Atlantean artifacts, including a strange sword recovered by the explorers, and so, seeing an opportunity, Arthur decides to hold the explorer crew captive so he, David, and a few other members of the crew could use their ship, and the equipment to travel down into the ocean depths in pursuit of valuables. However, the crew is ambushed by nearby trench soldiers, but are ultimately saved by a member of the last true and hidden Atlantean colony, but not without a few members of the crew being killed and Arthur's diving suit being damaged, with this being how he learns he can breathe underwater, and where his journey towards discovering his Atlantean origins begins. With Arthur learning about the current situation and due to a sense of justice and the fact that the trench killed some of his men, Arthur agrees to help the colony with taking down the trench by traversing to the kingdom of Zebel in order to gain an audience with the Queen in hopes of forming an alliance to take down the trench and Charybdis. The Atlanteans themselves having had little luck doing so in the past, and as a result of previous tensions between the Atlanteans and the Zebelians. David gets his diving suit upgraded by the Atlanteans and agrees to accompany Arthur on the journey to make sure he doesn't get himself killed, but also to seek revenge against the trench for the death of his crewmates, with the two and a few others bringing their journey to Zebel to seek counsel with the Queen so that they and what's left of the Atlanteans can unite to take down the trench, with Arthur learning more of his Atlantean origins along the way. With us also learning that the sword Arthur found that I mentioned earlier, which will become his main weapon in this story instead of a trident, is a powerful magical weapon, being the sword of the mythological hero Perseus, which I chose due to how the weapon had in Greek mythology been previously used to defy the will of Poseidon, Roman name Neptune. Perseus using it to save Princess Andromeda from the sea monster known as Cetus, who had been sent by Poseidon. It's an interesting idea.
You guys are so creative. If I thought about like an absolute, like my version of absolute Wonder Woman, it would be like, oh, I'll do the same thing. I like to think I'm creative in different parts of my life, but that's amazing that you can just come up with that and just like a comment on one of our videos. That's awesome.
Next, we have Count Crane, one of my channel members. Hello, Count Crane. Hope you're doing well. Are you going to discuss Lost Soul at some point? Because that episode contains what is, in my opinion, the most disturbing scene in all of Batman Beyond, where Batman kills Robert Vance and he mentally regresses to the mindset of an infant as he dies. His last words being, Mama. So, yeah, of course it will come up at some point. I don't know if we'll do a podcast episode about it, but I will do a video. Okay, next we have Michael Dolan. Hello, Michael. Thank you for commenting. I haven't seen either of the recent Joker films, and I can't say that I have much desire to do so. I knew as soon as I saw the trailers for the first one that encouraged the viewer to feel sad for the character when he's abused by the uncaring world, and to root for him when he seeks violent revenge against society, that this was not the way to handle the Joker. You simply do not make the Joker into some kind of sympathetic anti-hero, but sadly DC makes too much revenue from marketing the character to sociopathic incels who think that a nihilistic spree killer is an appropriate role model. I understand that there's room for different interpretations of a character, but at some point you have to accept that you're changing so much of what makes the Joker who he is that you're just using the name, a loose visual resemblance, and nothing else. A friend of mine who has seen it tells me that it's more of a pastiche of Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy, with the names Gotham City and Arkham Asylum scattered around them. The Al Pacino Robert De Niro character dipped into clown grease paint to grab a share of that sweet, sweet superhero franchise money. I've seen Steel, Elektra, and Catwoman, so I feel pretty confident in saying that making a solo film about a member of the more popular character's supporting cast or rogues gallery, where the more popular character isn't legally allowed to show up, is very likely setting itself up to fail. I haven't seen Morbius or Madam Web, but what I hear doesn't seem to be proving me wrong. If you absolutely must have a solo Joker movie without Batman, I believe the best way to do it is to play it like an 1880s slasher flick, where the Joker is not an anti-hero, he's Freddy Krueger or Chucky, or any of the overly chatty boogeymen of the period. Like Freddy and Chucky, he may be charismatic, often genuinely funny, and always gets the best line, but the Joker never strays from being a terrifying murderer and an irredeemable monster, and the audience should cheer when he gets his well-deserved comeuppance in the final reel. I'm not saying I'd be eager to see that version either, as 80s slasher flicks aren't my thing. I'm going to watch a horror film, I want to see vampires and werewolves and mummies, and most of all I want to see the zippers in the back of the suits. But that's just the least awful way I can think to do it, if the suits at Warner Brothers insist upon it. I think that's a fair comment to make.
Yeah.
I kind of wish if they were continuing the theme of remaking classic movies, but in the DC universe, I kind of wish they'd just done One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
That would have been wonderful.
but with the Joker, and then
Yeah.
that would have doubly worked because of obviously the Jack Nicholson connection. But perhaps that was too obvious. And as we said last time, I can appreciate Joker Folie à Deux because it's very much a response to those, as you phrased it. Was it? Sorry, you said something about incels. Now I've lost it in the comment. But to those kind of people that were holding Arthur Fleck up as being like an aspirational role model, that film was very much made. Folie à Deux, I should say, was made in response to those people going, no, he's pathetic, he's awful, he's a complete loser, and if you're basing your life around him, there is something fundamentally wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why there has been a backlash, because people don't like having the mirror held up to them. But there we go.
Yeah.
I saw that Hideo Kojima is a big fan of Folie à Deux, and he reckons in 10, 15 years, public opinion on it will probably change a lot.
I agree.
We'll see.
I just think people were a bit shocked to see like that particular character after the first, movie, to go on to have it be sort of a musical. They were a bit shocked. Like I said, I watched it. I didn't hate the movie. It wasn't my favorite movie, but I saw the point of it, and I think we needed that, because if they would have just made a Joker 2 and then have him, be, the hero, if you will, I think we would have some big problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that. I want it to be a movie. I want it to be a TV show. I want there to be a bad guy, and the Joker is the bad guy. Harley Quinn is the bad gal. They are bad losers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it watchable. But I don't want people to put them up on a pedestal saying, oh, they're things I need to look up to. No. Get some help. Go to a counselor. Get some first aid. Do something. Don't hold them on a pedestal as real human beings that are awesome. They're characters, and they're villains.
They suck.
They don't suck as villains.
No, I'm just saying they're bad people.
If they were real people, they would suck.
Right, so on to our final comment. I know we've overran here. I know we sometimes get feedback that if the episode's over an hour long, it's too long. And we're at an hour and 20, so I need to hurry up. Finally, we have Time Lord Victorious, who says, just to correct here, Dr. Phibes is not a Hammer film. Not sure what studio it came from. Yeah, we discussed that earlier. Not sure what else to add, but the Dr. Phibes movie, excellent. Really enjoyed it. 9 shall die. Anyone that's watched it, 9.
How many?
German, no.
How many?
German, no.
Huh?
No in German. All right, that's it for the comments. So all that's left to do now is hand over to Mary. Mary, what are we talking about next time? What did we decide?
Oh, okay. So, as y'all know, I'm American. I don't know if you could tell. And I like Thanksgiving, but I don't like to call it Thanksgiving anymore. I like to call it Friendsgiving. And I usually have Friendsgiving with my husband, but this year it's going to be a little different, because we are going to have Friendsgiving, but we're going to tell you who in the DCAU we would invite and why.
How many guests are coming?
As many as I want.
No, let's put a number on it.
25.
25, that's a lot.
Oh, wait, it has to be
Even. So
I hate even numbers.
Well,
let's do 31.
31? That's a lot.
No, let's do realistic. Let's do 16.
16 is realistic. That's a lot of people still.
Have you been to an American? Like, you've not been to an actual Thanksgiving, have you?
No, I haven't actually been to one.
I had a pretty small family, and I'd have like 20 people minimum come in the morning. Got that pie?
I have quite a large family, but we don't really socialize with most people out of the immediate family, so it's rarely more than like 7 people.
All right, so that is today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you made it this far, thank you times infinity. I know that there is the holiday season is coming up, and I know that it can be a really hard time for people because of loved ones aren't aren't here anymore, or, you just don't like the holidays. I don't mind the holidays, but what I want to say is it's not about a religion to me. It's not about necessarily any type of man coming in through my chimney. Let's hope they don't this year.
Especially because we don't have a chimney.
It's about spreading joy, like purposefully spreading joy and thanking people for that. And this year, I want to be able to spread more joy. And although I am not a billionaire like Bruce Wayne, I feel that actually showing up for people and speaking to people and just talking about superheroes and villains is it can spread a tiny bit of joy. So I want to thank you guys for letting me do that. And I promised you guys I will spread as much joy as I can by way of Batman and Superman. And if you have a hard time during the holidays, I have an email. Like I said, I will get better at getting back to you. You can always email me, or you can always message me on YouTube. I am up most of the day. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys continue to listen and have a great day.